Andrew, when did the idea of doing a Red Cross documentary enter your brain?
Well, I've been a fan since '84.
Okay.
Teen Babes from Monsanto was the gateway for me. So always just loved them, been fascinated by the band. But it was probably 9 years ago that hearing Steve tell an insane story from his childhood on another podcast was the thing that was just like, oh my God. Like, I mean, I already thought they would make a great subject for a film. And then that story was just the thing that sort of like put it over the top and made me think, all right, I think this needs to be done. And no one seems to be doing it. So
sure. So what year did the ball seriously start rolling?
I mean, so 2015 was when we shot the first yeah, that was when we first did the first interviews, and I think shot that. I mean, a couple things happened once we met and decided to do it. Soon after that, you guys did that reunion with the very, very original lineup, the Tourists lineup,
sure,
with Greg Hetson and John Stilo. And since that, I think that was the first thing maybe that we shot, because it was like, okay, you're getting this lineup together, we got to film that. And then you did a show at the Echoplex that we shot, and then but it was very sporadic for a few years there, because I was also just still like working pretty full time in TV, and so it was just and then I think the Kickstarter was in like 2019. And once, beginning of 2019, I think, and once that we had the Kickstarter and took people's money, then it got like, maybe it was,
then you're obligated.
Then you're obligated.
You're
that's
on the hook for
that's
it.
when it really ramped up right before pandemic.
So you guys are doing your thing. Suddenly this guy comes and knocks on your door.
Yeah.
Figuratively. I hope he didn't literally.
No, he was going door to door.
Literally, he knew you were in there somewhere.
Somewhere in Los Feliz. I'll find you.
So,
is Red Cross in the house?
What was the initial thought about this when it was the idea of some sort of career encapsulating documentary?
It was a little scary at first before I personally had met Andrew, talked to him before. And it was kind of like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. And, you know that it's someone else's movie. And so you have to kind of trust the person, but, you have to kind of go by your own ability to, I don't know, vet people on site. And we instantly, hit it off. So I said, okay, fine. For me, it was a go. I was fine with it.
Well, that actually was a new concept for me, that it was someone else's movie. Because it wasn't until I asked him, well, we do get final cut approval, right? And he said, no, you don't get final cut approval. That's when I realized it was someone else's movie.
Yes. That would be your movie.
Which has been very handy when, later in the day when people were like, why isn't, that thing that I was on in your movie? It's like, it's not my movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? Yeah. Now you see why it was a good thing. I was doing you a favor.
So it's my go-to. Also, it's not my movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is a very vulnerable place to be, because you are handing over your life story and your life's work.
It's our stories
to somebody else, and you're just hoping that they do right by you, and you're kind of powerless in that situation. So it is a leap of faith.
Right, sure, yeah. And so, but like Jeff said, we got to know Andrew, and we got the sense that he wasn't, a sociopath that was, that was committed to
finally take down Red Cross.
Take us down finally once and for all.
Well, and I hope by 7 years later, like if we were horrified by his cut, he would work with us.
Sure. Yeah.
Really, you'd already thought about that conversation.
Well, I mean, it's always an option, but I was totally relieved and fine.
And look, I mean, the fact was, even though it was my movie and I was going to make, but I wanted these guys to like it. So it was just like, there were maybe a couple things along the way where you were like, I'd rather that's not in there. And it was, in some cases it was like, all right, that I can live with that. It doesn't have to be in there. Like I don't have to talk to that band member Like, I mean, there's only like maybe one where you're like, I don't think I don't really need them in the movie.
The blonde member?
Yeah. I don't know if he's out there.
We had a blonde drummer at one point. So the only person I still resent to this day.
And he's a really nice person.
We get along with all our former members, as you'll see in the film.
And he was the one that was going to be really hard to track down. And I was like working on it, and I was just delving deep into these weird like who's who of metal kind of websites to try and track because he was like the metal drummer they had for a very brief moment.
Sure.
And then Jeff was like, I don't want him in the movie.
Because Jeff, what's come to the surface recently is that there's one promotional photo of us from 1986 or 5 that features this said drummer, and Jeff still feels upstaged by his hair.
By his Vince Neil hairstyle.
I mean, it's all you see in the picture.
Yeah, see?
And it's you guys looking the most like Sunset Strip hair metal. Like,
well, we look like this.
Yeah, we look
like of that era for us. But
with the addition of a big poofy blonde,
it was just a hairdo floating.
Yeah.
It was like,
it's a black and white. It's printed in black and white too.
There's a color. It's on the cover of like Music Connection or something. I don't know, or Music something. I have that. I have it. It's a great photo.
No, that's a different image, but with the same person. With the same,
yeah.
Because I remember that photo shoot. The Music Connection. That was on Fountain. I often think of that shoot. Anyways, I'm sorry. When I'm driving
these photographs, the old memories of old photos.
I had a lot. Well, I was still in high school. I was really excited about being on the cover of Music Connection magazine.
Sure.
And I had all these like hopes and expectations about it. But then the photographer got really arty on us. And it was all about colored gels. And we were blurry and unattractive at the end of it, is how I perceived it. I was very angry. But I often think of it while I'm driving my 15-year-old to school in the morning. And I've never mentioned
you can't let go of any.
There's that photo studio.
One of the things that comes out of the movie and the book especially is just the competitive nature that runs through Red Cross. There's definitely a competitive spirit.
Between the brothers or with us and the rest of the world?
You and the rest of the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll cop to that. I don't think Jeff will cop to that.
I don't mean it as an accusation. I think my show's called The Best Show. You don't think I have some weird edge to everything?
There was a point like
what is that supposed to mean?
Somewhere around 19, whatever the heavy metal decline of the Western Civilization Part 2, the hair metal years.
Yeah.
That we would just like to spend all of our rehearsals gossiping about Bret Michaels and
members of WASP.
Members of WASP, and we realized that we're so bitchy these days. We're not getting anything done. So I think there was a bit of jealousy on our part. I mean,
of Bret Michaels.
Yeah, groups like Stryper and Poison were just like, exploding in our faces
on the same record on the same record label.
Yeah,
and so it was a difficult 4 years.
And it feels like you're between the movie and the book and the album. It feels like it's like a demarcation line. What
does it mean? What does it mean?
Yeah, well, you're the band. I guess you should.
What is it?
Tell me. How does it? How do you perceive it?
I perceive it as you planted a flag just to tell everybody what this was and what this is how it felt to me. We're just saying like you did an album that's way at the top in terms of the greatness of everything you've ever done.
Thank you.
And it's just there's more of it than ever, and you delivered on all of it. Like the book is amazing, the movie's great, the double album is fantastic, and it really just feels like you showed people that you guys still have your fastball and that you can go toe-to-toe with anybody. How it felt.
Thank you. We were able to collaborate for the first time. The movie obviously is a collaboration with Andrew, and the book was a collaboration with Dan Epstein, and the record was a collaboration with Josh Klingoff. And in the past, we were probably too bratty or too snotty to ever listen to anyone's.
Well, I think we figured out that we need to insert another wise, talented individual in between me and Jeff to get anything done.
Okay.
Because otherwise everything's going to like dissolve into dysfunction of bickering and disagreements and power struggles. But if you put Andrew Reich in the middle, you might actually get a movie done.
Well, then it can be 2 against 1, right? Then you can.
I mean, it is kind of amazing when I think about, like, I don't know if you remember, there's a lot of pestering it took to get "Born Innocent," the song, out of you,
was there a lot
guys.
of pestering?
You may not remember. It was like a long time of me going, "No, it's okay." But I mean,
were we bratty about it?
No, you weren't bratty. It was just sort of like, "Hey, how's like I'm getting maybe the movie's going to be. How about that song?" And it took a while, but I feel like, I don't know, floodgates kind of did open after that.
I mean, I feel like that session really kind of changed the shape of that what became our record. And because we did the song for Andrew first.
It was the first song for our album, and then
but we were writing the record simultaneously, but I don't remember if we had done. I'm forgetting my timeline here.
I think it was, it was like just coming out of like sort of COVID time where I don't think you weren't
sharing
doing
a lot of stuff with you because you had our demos for a long time as
well.
I did,
but the demos came like after Born Innocent, like after you wrote the song, and then I mean, it was an incredible thing to just sort of ask them to write this song and just to throw out an idea of like, hey, write a like origin story song, like History Lesson Part 2, and then to get that song and just be like, oh my God, like this song is amazing. And then I feel like the rest of the songs started coming after that.
I think it is true. I think that Andrew encouraged us into a new era of our band.
Okay.
Just the fact that this guy was clearly, after a couple of years of getting to know him, we could tell that he was not insane. Or insane in any way that not any more insane than us. That he was taking this project so serious, this movie that he was working on. And because early on I had said to him, I said, well, you can go for it, but like I was kind of like, I hope it works out for you. And he's like, I know. But any rate, but yeah, I do think like making that, because we recorded that song, that's the only song that wasn't recorded at the same time as the rest of the record.
Okay.
But it was recorded with the same team in the same studio. And it went quickly, it went well. And something about that process just seemed like it kind of informed what came after it. And, I don't know. I mean, like someone told me about this book here, actually. Someone said, I guess, and I've only read it once, I guess I bellyache the most. And often I'm complaining about like, I don't know what I was complaining about, but someone said, I'm not going to name names, but someone said someone that had worked with us at some point, they're just really, they're not a coddler. They're not going to be someone who's going to prop you up.
Okay.
And I didn't really know I was asking for that necessarily, but someone very close to that person said that. And I'm not saying that Andrew coddled us, but I will say it's really nice to get encouragement for once. What's wrong with encouraging an artist? There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's good, especially for artists like, underground artists that have been kicked around a few times and be overlooked here and there.
Yeah.
It helps. It really does help. I think that all of the output of this year is partially, at least I can speak for myself, that, it's been a product of that, if that made any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, what do you feel like the future of the band can be based off of where you've landed at the 45-year mark?
There's nowhere to go now. We're totally screwed.
Well, there's the musical and the live action.
Well, Jeff and I did talk about, someone was talking about the musical. We do need to do maybe, but I don't know. Or the after school.
Well, there's still so many things we can do.
There's many mediums for us to work with. But look, I mean, I don't know. I would be glad just to put out a record every couple of years consistently. Yeah. That would be cool. And it doesn't have to be 18 songs on a double record. I mean, maybe now we can just go back to making a 12-song record. And
well, I mean, you have the 50th anniversary.
Oh, right.
Like, just think about that. 50. Isn't that the craziest thing to think that you're going to hit a 50-year anniversary for the band?
We're already
I'll hit it in my 60s, which is in my early 60s. So that's kind of fun. Yeah. I always like to point that out.
You always talk about our 45th anniversary this year.
Well, I talked about that a lot because whatever. But I mentioned that I'm perhaps maybe one of the first, if not the first Gen Xer to be celebrating 45 years.
Yeah.
In rock. What do you think about that claim?
I think it's
Is
a
that something
valid
to
claim.
be?
Look, whatever
Whatever floats your boat, dude.
whatever puts the asses in the
Definitely.
seats. If it puts the asses in the seats, then it works. No, but 50 years is right around the corner.
Sure.
Which you think about when you guys were just children doing this thing, and how long did you think back then how long this thing was going to go realistically? The end of the year, like.
No, I don't think I ever saw an end to it.
Okay.
I mean, but it was but wasn't that I thought it would go on forever.
Yeah.
It just kind of once it happened and we started playing music, it was always there. Kind of sometimes it's in the background, sometimes kind of like put away for a while, but it's just always been there.
I mean, we're always going to be brothers, so we didn't have to kind of make that kind of
I guess
plan or decision.
We're like the Cowsills or the Osmonds. All those people, they always end up playing together at some point.
And then also, it's like we were never pressured by our parents to like go to college and get a real job and stuff like that. So it was always taken seriously that we're musicians.